Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today, we're picking up where we left off, and that is Armin talking to Annie, Aaron shaving his face, and me having a mental breakdown for the past few days because I don't know if I'm saying Paradis and have been saying Paradis wrong the entire time.
Is it Paradis?
I thought that I heard somebody pronounce it Paradis, or like a French cadence, how I latch onto it. And I was like, huh, that's weird. And then nonchalantly, not too deep, bring it up at work where we see Anna's dad, who has watched up to where about we are in dub. And he's like, Paradis, I've never heard of that before. And I'm like,
like suddenly, okay, if he's watching the dub,
yeah.
If suddenly he says that he has
the dub could be wrong.
Heard of that
I could be wrong.
word, after, we're in the 4th season now.
Yeah.
Maybe we are saying it wrong. And you know what I thought to myself? This is another Jean gate, another Jean. That's what this is.
It is. Nicolo's love life isn't
Shattered.
looking too great.
It doesn't look good right now.
I am very, I was going to say happy with like how things are progressing, but Sasha's dead. That doesn't make me happy. I don't know, dude. Okay. I am very hooked in this show right now, but earlier seasons, it was more simplified. Like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. I'm loving every second of it. Holy shit. Reiner and Bert just told me they were Titans. Now I'm like, I can't tell you what's going on, but I'm loving it and having fun because there are so many different variables and I feel like I'm just watching it unfold, you know?
I mean, we now have all of the main players all in one area.
Yeah.
And every person that the story has focused on, I would say minus Reiner at the moment, all on the same island.
Yeah. I'm assuming that we're going to be picking up right where we left off, as in like after we landed on Paradis or Paradis with Zeke and the gang, you know?
It's probably Paradis.
It's fine. We'll be fine.
I think we're picking up where I know that Zeke asked Levi if he could bring Falco or Gabby to see this natural wonder. But I think with that, he was really saying, like, will they be allowed out of the dungeons? And Levi was like, that depends on you.
Are they going to be alive to see? Are they currently alive to see the trees if I wanted to bring them out here?
Is Annie ever going to wake up?
You know, I really think it's interesting that they're putting Armin in the same room as Annie. I'd love to know if Annie's still aging right now or if that's like a cheat code. You know, like if
anti-aging.
Well, like if you solidify yourself and you're frozen, like is it like a cryostasis kind of thing where you don't age, because that kind of cheats the whole 13-year time, like, you know, it doesn't really cheat it, but it's just an interesting add-in.
When we saw her at the end of last episode, I was like, wait, her hair's down. And then I couldn't remember if originally when she had been like that, I thought her hair was still in her signature hairstyle, but I could be completely wrong. So I was like, her hair looks like it's down right now. What's happening with that?
It's interesting because I had the same type of feeling, but, and I was like, oh, did her hair grow a little bit? Yeah. Is it more voluptuous? Did she put something in there? Mousse? But I'm like, yeah.
She took the shower before Aaron.
But I think it's interesting though, because is she conscious right now? Has time passed for her? That's been a fucking weird few years, if it has, you know? But I don't know. Maybe she'll wake up this episode. Maybe. That's my prediction. Annie's waking up this episode.
That would be wild and crazy.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's episode 69.
Is it?
Yeah.
His eyes just changed colors. Green eyes to blue. I thought.
I think it's just the lighting.
God, that
and
takes
now
me
she
back.
wants to listen. But have things changed? She honestly believed he would never
It definitely gives me the impression of like something happened, right? Like,
I mean, Zeke only has maybe less than a year. In his plan, he might think that the surviving royal family member should be the one to inherit all of the Titan powers.
It is episode 69. 2 years ago.
Back.
It kept them apart. Friendly nation.
That's why she left!
Yeah.
That's why she left. She knew what was gonna happen. Ackerman. Is this Ackerman?
Are these relatives of... Yeah.
A child of the
Shogun.
Oh, stop!
That was an info drop. I feel like I need a whole nother intro. Like...
They're so suspicious. Wow.
Love him so much.
His head looked really big in that shot, though.
Yeah. It's fine. It's all his brain powers. I didn't even know she had wrist straps all the time. Oh, wow.
It's like she's not alone anymore.
God, Eren looks so fancy. I can't get over it. How does Zeke know?
Did it
come from
them? Parody.
It's
a parody.
Fucking parody.
It's parody.
Ice burst stone. I've never heard of these things. Oh, is that the fossil fuel?
Yep. Oh, so they were prepared for this.
Alright. Test run of rumbling.
He wants to show a sample of the power, like an intimidation tactic. That's why they need time. She must bear as many kids as possible.
Wow. That's a great line.
Wow.
Don't expect anything less. 5 stock.
Oh, wow. Okay. He was totally against it.
He hasn't changed yet.
So what changed?
I think he has spent time exploring what other options are available, and he hasn't found any. Did he do it so he could have all the powers and stop everything? Look at how thick he is.
Look how tall he is! What?
He almost turned just then. Do you think there's any shot, like, the will of the first king is trying to take over him somehow?
Oh, Hanji, we love you!
I'd trust nobody else.
She's already started? What?
孤児院を手伝っていたのも下働きを務める彼に気づいたのは女王の方からだったがなぜ今身勝手なことんだ妊娠した一番イカれていて頭ジークは命拾いしたんだぞおい
He's had a little too much to drink. You're drunk.
God, I don't want to see a pregnant Titan.
It's literally the last royal blood that we know of. What the hell?
Is that Connie and John? Yeah.
We keep switching back and forth. They're building
Jesus
a railroad.
Christ.
There's like a American Western feel to this, right?
Yeah.
Expansion.
I feel like I'm watching Holes. They've seen some shit, man.
They've only heard passed down stories.
We heard something very similar last episode when Aaron responded. They know exactly what we are, and that's why they're scared. Go figure. Let's meet them. It was Hanji's plan?
Yeah, can they even inherit it?
I'm sure it's they've interbred with Eldians at some point.
That would be a sight to see.
Instead of a suicidal maniac. Gifted leader.
No one else seems to be on board with this. I want you to have long lives, but I led you over to Marley. What happens?
If Sasha was a Titan, she'd be the first Titan who eats food because they're hungry.
Oh, this is cute. Stop. Mm-hmm.
He just accepts it.
Puts his hat down a little bit.
They are making Aaron look much more innocent and cute with his hair and his design
2 years
here.
ago, yeah.
Yeah.
They talked about something.
There was something that changed everything.
She doesn't want it to come to that.
Facts.
Oh, it's like they're in a toxic relationship and can't see it. Oh,
Oh!
that's pretty cool.
It's almost like he can see everything.
Levi's a babysitter for Zeke.
Fuck. I think that Eren and Zeke can somehow communicate telepathically.
Oh my gosh, like twins.
Okay, that was Attack on Titan, season 4, episode 10. That was a great episode.
Great episode that had unusual energy for me. I don't necessarily at this moment, as starting the discussion, know how to articulate that strange, odd feeling.
I agree with you.
But it was definitely a different feeling than maybe I'm accustomed to.
Attack on Titan, the only similarity that I can think of is sometimes Attack on Titan has episodes that they give you more information on purpose. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, to put you in a certain place, and I feel like that's where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to organize the information given, but also understand it enough where I can try to think about what could happen next and try to understand where all the characters mentally are right now.
Right. Like, this was like a little bit like a study guide episode of like, hey, these are the terms you need to know before the next couple episodes. And that is not a negative. I'm just trying to come up with ways to say how much information was given to us here.
Yeah.
And the pacing obviously was, I think the pacing was great for an informative episode. Like, if you're knowing that you're going to get all of this information, like, okay, we need to give them all of these facts.
Yeah.
And we want to give them in one episode. How do we pace this? You know?
I think, like, the way that they handled the pacing and, the back and forth in regards to a couple of years ago and now.
2 years
I
now.
think,
2 years
like,
now.
It seemed like the entire time they were doing that, they had one goal in mind, and that was to inform the watcher that something
changed.
Fucking
like something
like,
changed, yeah.
Something huge must have like changed for there to be this massive change in character and not just the content of what he's saying, but the belief others have in what he's saying. Because sitting on the back of the carriage when everybody's blushing because of the sunset,
he says like, something so kind there
something
about
so
how much
similar.
He cares about them. And then later on in the episode, the current state, everyone's trying to figure out, like, does he feel that way still? And it's very personal. And then at the very, very end of the episode, we get Zeke sitting there. And it's like, all this time we've been like, okay, something has changed. We're seeing what he was like 2 years ago, the Eren that we know. Because the 2 years ago Eren was the Eren that we have basically grown up with for a few seasons.
Eren standing up at the table and shouting was the Eren that we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything he did in that episode, even saying something sweet to them about how he didn't want them to... He wanted them to have long lives.
Going back to what you said about it, though, it was like they picked the words right off of the page of the flashback and put them in the current timeline of the feelings of how Eren feels about the rest of the group and if they can trust him and his reasons for doing things as coming from Mikasa and how she kept trying to think of justifications for him. And it's really concerning to me because if I'm trying to get in the mind of the characters of Jean, Connie, wish it was Sasha, and a little bit Armin, I think from Connie and Jean's point, I am scared that they might start to think, has Eren ever cared? I don't have...
It's almost like the different ends of the spectrum. I mean, how different people would react to being told one thing and then someone showing an action that doesn't necessarily say love.
I just want to clarify that I completely believe Eren's always meant it to Jean and Connie and everybody.
Yeah,
and
I don't think he's a
genuine on that. And I think something changed, but I am just saying that I think Jean and Connie might start to doubt it themselves, and that's a scary thought.
Especially Connie.
Yeah. I
feel like Connie was the kind of main man on that train. I think Jean probably feels that way or is on in a debate internally.
Yeah.
But I feel like Connie is a much more easily emotionally swayed person.
Yeah.
And I feel like that scene in particular was so amazing for emotional recall. It was so convincing that we got the scene of them 2 years ago having that moment where Eren says what he says to them and they're all blushing. All of them are blushing. And then we get this emotional recall where it's like all of them are thinking about the same moment at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're feeling it. And I think during the episode I said it's like a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Because all of them were sitting there and some of them were trying to justify his actions. Like, no, he told us he loves us and he means it. And the other people were like, yeah, but that action he did doesn't really spell out I love you now, does it?
No, you're right.
And are you going to follow him faithfully even if he does horrible things like war crimes and killing children? Like,
well, it's
are you
not
going to still
even
follow him?
It's not about if you're even going to continue to follow him if he does these things. It's coming into question why he's doing these things in the first place. What is his plan? But
it's also like,
whose side is he on?
And they're also focused, and that's what shows that they all have a personal relationship with him, is they're less focused on what I had just said about this, him doing horrible things, and they're more focused on why would he lead us, the people he loves, this group of friends, into a situation where we all could have died if he says he loves us and wanted us to live long lives. It was so personal and like selfish in a way that was so real.
Yeah.
Like they were more focused on the fact that this is their best friend who says that he loves them, and they feel betrayed.
Yeah. No.
And they're less focused on the horrible thing that he did and like, oh, how could we support a man that does those things? It's more like, should we even believe him?
I think it's thinking about what to do going forward. Like, and fucking props to Armin, man, because as hard as this situation I'm sure is on him, he is trying to think about what is best for his family, his friends, the people that he's grown up with. He's
the benefit of the doubt guy.
He is, but he isn't like Mikasa. I believe her character that she's just like ride or die and kind of in denial about it.
Oh,
but I am so glad that Armin has some sense of like this isn't right, and like he's like I'm biased for sure still, but like don't worry, I'm gonna try to get information out of him or.
But that's perfect. Like there's the bias there, but Armin's not ready to go to the point that Jean and Connie are, because Armin's the type of person that he needs you to literally tell him to his face.
Yeah.
I don't love you anymore. Like if you ever were to break up with Armin, I feel like you might have to like literally spell it out, and you couldn't just like send him you couldn't ghost him. He would just be like, wow, they need some time alone. They're probably really stressed out right now.
Armin would keep trying to fix things.
Yeah. Or he'd keep trying to fix things until you were like, dude, no, I don't want you to fix things.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet and endearing. And it's kind of like a puppy. Is Armin a puppy?
A little bit. He's a little bit of puppy.
What would Mikasa be? Is Mikasa a cat?
No.
Cats aren't really like... I mean,
Mikasa's
sometimes they could be ride or die, but...
I want to start talking like through points of the episode because man, I have a lot to try to like process, and it's easier for me to do out loud. Like right off the bat, we have Eren looking in the mirror, saying fight. Very angry energy. But in this whole scene. I know that this could easily be something else and write it off, but we have to we did it with the orangutan when we first saw him, and that is something that if I remember a couple minutes from now, I'd love to go back and see in season 2, episode 1. I think.
2,
episode 1, or whatever episode it was that the orangutan used his powers of control. Because back in that episode, I want to say it was yellow, but his eyes changed colors when he uttered commands. Didn't we think they were like red and yellow, or were they just yellow? Now I'm trying to... That's why I want to go back for it, just to double check, because there's no point in saying it if it's wrong. Yeah, my memory is the most whacked up thing. Like, I have a really strong imagination. Yeah. So if you were like to tell me, like, the shirt I wore that someone wore yesterday was purple, I would start imagining that exact shirt they were wearing, but purple, and believe you. Yeah, or like how I keep trying to remind you that together as a team, AutoSave, we wrote the word gullible on the ceiling while we were watching a movie, and you keep forgetting about it. But I think that we was Annie's hair down. I think we need to talk about Eren. And his eyes. We don't talk about Eren, no. You don't want to, apparently, because They are very green. His eyes are super green.
Yeah, but then they were blue, and then we went back to the light.
Okay,
the
this
shot
helps
in front
so
of the
much.
mirror. Okay,
I
they
put it
are
into
very green
window
there.
mode. Because like when it's in this mode, it's not as vibrant.
I'm unconvinced because of the warm light from
Oh
this angle.
no! You haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
So
this isn't as green as they get. They get greener.
No, it's the transition I'm talking about because it's the transition that shows me that there's meaning behind it. Fight, very green, very vibrant. Fight. What are you doing? Immediately back to blue.
But isn't that the cool tone of the lighting there? He's in shadow. The warm light isn't hitting his eyes anymore.
I don't know. I think that they were super vibrant for a reason, and then as we watched again, I thought that there was another moment that they turned green. Is it when
he grabs Hanji and starts to like?
I'm gonna let it play out while
he starts to spark.
Talk on it. Yeah, but I throughout the episode, I think we might have gotten hints at it, or they could just be completely off base at what it is or what it could be, because like there are only so many reasons you'd say fight at yourself in the mirror, right? And if you try to connect that with seemingly like a personality change or at least an eye color change, then
are we fighting what happened to Reiner?
It makes you, if he's saying fight when he has green eyes and then it looked like his eyes are blue, then like it makes me think somebody else is telling Eren to fight, or somebody else is convincing Eren to do something.
You know which Titan would out of his Titans? Well, he just got the Warhammer Titan.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
true.
Very possible that this newfound power will show itself in different ways, and we don't actually know how these Titans affect someone's personality. Like, does it change you at all to get it? Like, is there an animalistic aspect that's added on? Is there a personality change? Here, it could be the Attack Titan taking the front, because the Attack Titan is the Titan to continue pushing and fighting no matter what. But also, he literally just got the Warhammer Titan. Is there it's almost like you're putting a bunch of things in one body. Like, how are they going to interact with each other? The Founding Titan was never supposed to be with the Warhammer Titan.
Like, it could be like you're going crazy. You're losing like a little bit of yourself the more that you're like putting into your body.
Yeah, because
like a roid rage kind of thing.
And you also have the memories of all the people who had those Titans.
Yeah.
And the Warhammer Titan and the Founding Titan were meant to be separate. They were not meant to be together. That's why the Warhammer Titan was in Marley with the original King Fritz plan.
Originally, they were all together as one being, but then it was split. Sure. I think that, I guess at the moment with what we got, a theory that I have is that something, whether it is the King's will or the King's will, Zeke, a third party, or potentially even Eren in the future, is convincing him to do what he's doing, like the fight.
Does Zeke have any control over Eren?
I don't think he has control over it, but
can he get inside his head?
In season 3, episode 21, we were told that everybody's connected by something that we can't see, and every subject of Ymir is connected to the Founding Titan. I'm wondering if every subject of Ymir is connected to the Founding Titan, then that wouldn't necessarily mean that two random people, one of them having the Founding Titan, one that doesn't, they wouldn't have anything connecting them necessarily. But I'm suggesting that maybe since we saw Historia being able to recount Ymir's memories, and Historia is that of royal blood, that since Zeke is that of royal blood, maybe he has a connection to the Founding Titan currently. Potentially. Or at some point in the future they will.
Well, you could always say that maybe their ties to that connection, to that kind of path connecting the cycle, the loop, everyone's connected. Maybe their connection is stronger because of their royal blood.
Or, yeah, royal blood, or we haven't really met people who are like half brothers before.
Right.
We don't know how that works.
There's so many things that are at play here. Like, Eren has the founding titan. Zeke is royal. Like, they're half brothers. They can see memories of people before them and maybe even remember things of people that come after them. Like, I feel like I keep forgetting and we keep saying it. And every time we say it, it's like I'm learning it for the first time in like an excitement level. And that is when Kruger was like, Armin and Mikasa, you know? And that was the most wild and crazy thing. Like,
yeah. Like, it comes a little bit out of nowhere in some instances.
It's like sometimes you kind of forget that there's that like giant thing hanging out in the corner.
I think it's because it's intentionally been left somewhat vague, right?
Well, we've only really gotten one reference of it, of someone being able to recall something that they don't understand where it comes from, and that we have been given validation knowing the characters' names that it's something that happens later on.
Yeah. So at the moment now,
You're looking at season 2, episode 1.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find the time where the Beast Titan utters commands.
I mean, this is a great episode to bring up too, because he grabs the gear.
It seems like
saw him use in this
yellow
episode.
eyes when he
Orders them?
Orders them, yeah, and is in control. And then they might be yellow already, yeah. I think red, maybe, prior. Regardless, either way, it would.
His eyes are also really tiny.
Yeah. But, I don't know. Thought that was interesting. Next note I have written down going into the episode was something that I am very confused about. I don't know what to... I don't know. It's fine. Like, Mikasa has a tattoo. I'm a little offended that I didn't, like... I thought Mikasa and I were cool. If you're cool with someone, you gotta tell them about your tattoos.
Like, I don't really... I'm kind of like... How did I not... I'm sure we've seen her wrist wrapped in bandages before, like, this whole time. But I've always thought that that was an aesthetic choice. For people, like, for characters I've seen specifically in anime, sometimes I think it's an aesthetic choice to have that, but why would a child do that? I don't know.
In my notes,
feel silly.
In my notes, season 1, episode 6, we learn about Mikasa and we learn about an embroidery pattern that was passed down. Mm-hmm. That we've been over throughout several seasons. Like, we keep getting brought back to it because we want to know more about the Ackerman lineage. Mm-hmm. During this interaction, I don't think Mikasa had a bandage over her.
But she was also at home with her parents where she wouldn't necessarily have to hide that.
Yeah, but we didn't see it either, is what I'm saying. Oh, no, she had long sleeves on. Look at you, Attack on Titan.
Purposefully trying to dupe us.
I don't know. I thought that... I guess I was a little bit taken aback. I was more taken aback that she had a tattoo on her wrist rather than her having a connection to the Hizuru and the Azumabitos.
Yeah, that did not, like...
I was like, huh, makes sense.
It's like cool. that was the softball, when really, like, a tattoo sounds like way less...
Yeah.
Meaning. There's like, oh, it's a tattoo compared to you are, like, basically royal blood in another nation. And the royal nation thing was like a softball to me. I was like, huh, okay.
It was like this massive drop of, like, Mikasa being this, like... forgotten princess of royalty, and I'm like, that makes sense. And then it's like, Mikasa has like a little tattoo on her wrist, and I was like, this game is literally unplayable. Like, what am I doing? But I was like, I was so taken aback. But
this game is unplayable.
Yeah, I really actually like the connection to a separate country or the land. You know, I think it's like it's a loose end that didn't need to be tied up, but it feels good that it was. Again, season 1, episode 6, all we got was that she was the last refugee of a clan from Asia, and there was an underworld auction. And it just, I don't know. I like how this kind of puts everything nicely together and packages it.
Yes. Would you say that Levi does not have that because of his upbringing? And
Correct.
His mother never really got to get to a point in life where she might have been ready to pass down something like that.
Well, it seems like Kenny made the executive decision. Like he knew a lot, right? He knew who the Ackermans were. Kenny knew a fuck ton, and Kenny
especially later in life once he found the royal family.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I don't know. Part of me wonders, like, okay, is Kenny doing this to save Levi from anything? But again, timeline wise, it wouldn't really add up. I just don't think. It seemed like something more personal and attached to the Ackerman family name, which held more of a regard in Mikasa's family rather than Levi's, I think. But Tattoo is crazy. Meeting the other country that has, like, is the only ally to, what, Marley?
No, they're the only ally that parody.
Yeah.
Parody. Because that's what we call it now here on this channel.
I feel like you're trying to get me to say paradise so you can do a paradise nuts joke on me, and I'm not falling for it. This whole thing's a ploy.
Well, like, even if I was, now that you said it, I can't. So
you still can.
Maybe when you least expect it, but not right after.
Dude, I can't believe they addressed the fact that they were keeping Yelena and Aaron separate. That was, like, my leading theory. That was my, like, even if it was just passing by, handing off a note, or saying one sentence, that was my leading theory. That, like, Yelena was the messenger. And I was like, holy shit, they've been keeping them from each other the whole time.
I mean, like, it's so realistic once you start thinking about how suspicious the people of this island are after everything that they've been through, that we've seen them go through. Their government got overthrown. They had, like, a coup, you know? And now Historia's in charge, but she's just a kid who no one even knew existed. The royal family they thought was royal was fake. And, like, now they're learning that other nations are the ones trying to attack them and not these, like, alien Titan beings.
Yeah.
Like, of course, all of these people, even if I get a little grumpy when they're being overly suspicious, of course they're being suspicious. It perfectly makes sense. Unfortunately. Because I like Yelena, and I don't want her to turn into a villain. Because did you see her in that suit? I was, like, powerful.
Yeah.
I know all the other Marleyans were wearing the same thing, but powerful.
Yeah. How do you think Zeke knew or put together the fact that Mikasa was from this lineage of another country and knew it was an important enough starting bargaining chip to offer up to meet with Lady Mikasa? Do you think that it was completely visual and that of race, and in this world they were able to tell and Zeke just made the assumption back to a country? Or...
Well, he might have been able to tell from meeting Levi, because didn't Zeke think that he might have said something when he fought Levi about specifically Levi being something, or him noticing the look in Levi's eyes. But that doesn't connect to Mikasa necessarily, unless Zeke knows all of their last names. But I gotta, in this point, bring up, we know that the Tiber family was close specifically to this other nation. We saw this lady have a secret conversation with Willie before Willie declared war. So I'm like, what about that was performance on Willie's end? Like, was Hizuru playing both fields? Like, did Zeke and Willie ever have a talk? There's some question marks there in terms of, like, obviously if Hizuru's focused on who's gonna give me the most money, you know,
facts.
Then I'm sure they want to keep good relations with both the Tibers and with now Zeke, who is their connection to Parody.
Yeah.
It does not sound right to say Parody.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep saying Paradise. I
don't want to make people cringe every time we say it.
I can be 100% wrong, and I won't know until the series is over. But guess what? I've been saying it already for the past season, so I'm fine. I'm content with just saying Paradise. But I do think that the acknowledgement of Zeke being, I don't know, having this bargaining chip or having this incentive to meet being Mikasa is very interesting, because it can just be explained away like, oh, I could just tell like that's where she was from, you know. But but what would the conversation have been like if Mikasa didn't have the tattoo? Like just like, oh no, trust me. Like here are my sources, and then like list nothing, and just be like, just like, you know, believe me. It'd have to be pretty like great confirmation to be like, are you really this person? And Mikasa's like, I've never shown this to anybody. Boom, you know, other than Eren, which I didn't know. But
I don't think there was any way of us knowing that. 3
conditions for this plan.
Okay.
There's going to be a test of the rumbling, the sample of power.
How do you do a test? How do you do a test of it? Do you just yell and then immediately put all of them back to sleep after like a rumble happens, after like a major earthquake?
I don't know. So if I'm trying to think how I do a test of it to show a quote unquote sample of my power, part of me thinks that has to entail destruction of some kind. Mm-hmm. But a more visual part of me wonders if it's just like, I'm gonna have every one of these millions of colossal titans fan out into every edge of Paradis and make like the ultimate wall, and there's not going to be any brick and mortar covering it,
even if
bitch.
There weren't, yeah, exactly. If there were no covering, imagine being on a ship pulling up to the island
and just
seeing that.
Like you're gonna be saying, you're gonna be saying colossal hoe before land hoe if you're on a ship. Like
we're gonna turn around now.
No offense to Armin, he's a nice lad, but he's gonna like. I don't know, man.
Armin is a sweet baby.
Yeah. So the test of the rumbling, sample of the powers, Hizuru's cooperation, which is basically the monopolization of the resource. Which... And
they are not allowed, they do not want to allow Parody to work with any other nations.
Yeah.
Because they want this. And so they will not work with them if they choose to try to have good relations with other nations.
Yeah.
That rhymes.
And the resource is called Iceburst Stone, right?
Iceburst Stone.
Why
have we never heard... If that is their term for it, how have I never heard it?
Well, how it's described reminds me of the crystallization, right? I always thought it looked like ice.
Yeah, but didn't they start using that right after they...
Because they used it as luminescent ore, right?
Yeah, but I remember there being... I remember Levi talking earlier about what it was like in the underground, and we knew that there was a resource that I think was being mined there.
The last was number 3, founding, and the founding titan will be passed, and the royal blood will be passed down. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty big moment, one for Historia, because I kind of knew that she'd do it, or like at least agree to it at first. But I didn't think it actually happened, but I knew that she'd agree to it because that's the kind of character she is.
She agreed to it at first.
And Eren was like, fuck no, that's my last resort.
So we see 2 people changing at the same time here. Eren, 2 years ago, said hell no. Historia said okay. And then 2 years later... Historia's like, ooh, I'm pregnant now. Oops. And Eren's like, I changed my mind.
I don't know.
And then they threw us like a nice little love story for Historia.
Yeah. I think that Eren comparing them to livestock again in a different way
to bring it back
is like, I think it's so well done because it does bring you back to this is the Eren that we've grown up with, you know?
Like before they were being kept isolated in a cage like livestock, and now we have they're being bred.
You trying to tell me that those eyes are not blue?
Those are blue eyes.
Okay, and the other ones were green.
I was not trying to tell you. I was saying there was warm lighting in a dungeon, and I think it made those eyes look greenish.
I wanted to talk about...
And the water looks like honey because of the warm lighting.
Does it?
It did. It does look like a little bit like honey. It's like honey colored.
Yeah.
Important details.
Honestly, it is. We got to talk about these things. Just like Eren's like ripped, bro. I knew he was ripped last episode, but he's like thick, you know?
Like, he went from, like, 2 years ago, like, super cute, like, little grown-up boy.
Fancy.
Like, little grown-up boy man, and now it's like, what? What is that? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when Hanji complimented the hairdo, I was like, I don't think she's lying here.
Yeah.
I agree with her. This is a nice...
I liked her reasoning, too. Like, if it's, like, a little loose, like, you know...
like, you're carefree.
Yeah.
Hardworking and carefree.
And Aaron's telling Hanji, in other words, there's no prison deep or strong enough to hold me. I can leave whenever I want. I'm like, bro, like, I know, chill. I have the founding titan and you can't kill me. Holy shit.
Doesn't that take you back to, like, when he was put down in that well, when he was trying to, like, train himself? And it also reminds you of the fact that one of the plans in Marley was to put the Cart Titan and the Jaw Titan in that hole so that they couldn't unleash their powers. And it's like everything you've known now about Titans, everything we've learned, once the Warhammer Titan is mixed in, that all goes out the window.
Yeah. He's like, you can't kill Zeke either. So Hanji, what is it you can actually do? Like, why is Aaron trying to convince... No, why is Aaron trying to convince people to lose their will to fight? Like,
is he trying to convince himself to fight? Is that why he's talking to himself, saying, fight, fight? But then he's here kind of bashing on Hanji, which is, like, supposed to be a teammate of his that he should be trying to convince to follow his plans. Like, this Aaron is also kind of different to the Aaron that arrived onto the airship, in a way.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of anger here, where before it was very, like, cold. And then once he's, like, arrived back, it's like... And that's why I'm thinking maybe the Warhammer has a part of it.
That's true.
That now he's, like, unleashing. Things are opening when before he was kind of, like, shut down and cold.
Bro,
is that because he's around company that he knows and trusts and he's lashing out at them because of that familiar feeling, and that's what people do sometimes?
What if, like, just spitballing.
Okay.
What if Aaron's disassociating with himself? Like, in the idea. So, like, hypothetically, think, what if Aaron has successfully accessed every memory of every person who's ever had the War Titan, the Attack Titan, and the Founding Titan, and is losing himself because of all this. Imagine not only having the memory, but feeling like you've lived through countless of lives, like a reincarnation cycle, but you can remember everything. You'd go fucking mad. You'd go insane.
Think about it this way, like, the intentions behind the Titans and who had them.
Yeah.
The Founding Titans' intention always was to never fight, and the Warhammer Titans' intentions was that if you ever act up, I'm gonna be the one that defeats you. And now those are internally inside the same body with a Titan that wants to fight no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's like, too many people have been invited to the party, and they all kind of have different views, and this is like a bad Thanksgiving dinner.
If instead of fight at the start of the episode, he was saying attack, I would think he had lost his personality and, like, was trying to conjure up the Attack Titan's personality.
It's more like the Attack Titan's a Pokemon, and he's just saying his name.
The threat to transform, I don't know if we've ever seen it like this, like, exactly, you know, to the detail of nothing under the eyes to
it just spreads out a little bit.
Spreading out
cool.
While the like in the conversation with Reiner and Falco, he threatened with his hand being cut already. This is fucking scary, bro. And it
was already scary when he threatened Reiner with just the blood.
Yeah.
And that was already, like, enough to evoke fear in the person that he was talking to. It could have taken very little to cause fear in Hanji here, or, like, what's wrong with Eren. And he just went full on.
You're right. And, like, maybe a worst possible scenario for Hanji, right? And like I kind of cope with things the same way Hanji, I believe, is right now, by being like, Eren, you perv, you're still immature.
Like she makes a joke, and then as she runs out, she slumps against the door.
Yeah.
And says that Erwin made a mistake.
God, that hit. That hurt, dude. Like, because I don't think Erwin made a mistake.
We never felt like he had made a mistake.
No.
We always thought that Hanji was supposed to be the one. Like, obviously, Levi was, like, his right-hand man, you know, in a way. So it could have been Levi, but I always felt like Hanji was... But in Hanji's mind, Hanji was like, I was a scientist. I was curious. Like, I wasn't meant to be a leader. I was meant to, like, figure things out, and that was her passion. Her passion was finding out truths.
Yeah.
Not being a military leader and strategizing.
Yeah. There's so much emphasis on the sun and moon this episode, like, that keeps happening, like the sun, the sunset, the sunrise, the moon. And
what's the flow? Did you realize a flow?
Of, like, a pattern, you mean?
Yeah. Was it, like, did it literally go through days? Like, we saw 2 years ago, and then we are further in a day, and then we see, you know, did we go sunrise 2 years ago to sunset 2 years in the future to the moon 2 years ago? Like, did it go in a pattern like that?
After the initial bit between Eren and Hanji, then it went daytime into night, and then back into the future, daytime into night, I believe. But I don't know. So once we switch over to Historia a bit, I believe this is Historia after she's been...
This is Historia pregnant, I believe, in the rocking chair.
So I think that the most obvious answer in regards to why her expression is the way that it is that she's unhappy. Is being used as nothing but something that can breed more royal blood, like cattle.
Like, I don't think Historia's life plan was, wow, I can't wait to be queen and also be pregnant. Like, I don't think that's what Historia... I think Historia would have been like, I wish Ymir was still alive and we were somewhere else. I wish we were exploring. I wish I was either dead with Ymir. I wish I was somewhere.
Reiner kept seeing walls. Historia keeps seeing farms. And I feel bad for her.
Historia keeps seeing people that she has to live a way that she doesn't want to, or she has to do things, and that's so infuriating for her.
I think that there's a little part of me that might that might say that there's a possibility that Historia is either being controlled or is privy to information that we don't know based off of Zeke and Eren, because Historia is royal blood, and if there is some communication between Zeke and Eren because of that, I don't think it'd be too far out to suggest that she'd have the same.
Well, didn't the one guy speculate as they were drinking that maybe Yelena told Historia to get pregnant?
Yeah.
So we also don't know why Historia basically rushed the actual having of kids when she was already royal herself.
Because in this dude's Roeg, I believe, or Rogue,
something like that.
In his perception or idea, it was Yelena telling her to do it to prolong her life, but also prolong Zeke's life.
They'd never make a pregnant woman turn into a Titan.
I need to talk to you about something real quick. So a pregnant Titan, right?
Yeah.
So you're a pregnant person, and you are turned into a Titan.
Who has no reproductive organs or anything of the sort.
I wonder if somehow, like, if you watch a woman who's pregnant turn into a Titan with a baby, and you cut the Titan's stomach open, would you, 1, get nothing because it's gone, 2, save an innocent little human baby, or 3, there's some weird fucking, like, rule where technically you've like kind of scooted in this gray area in between the rules we understand of how you become a human who has the powers of a Titan, and you somehow
like have interspecies, like werewolf in person or vampire in person, but then the kid's like a half. You somehow
started it or created like another off branch. I'm not talking about the 7 Titans or whatever we know and how they've come to be. I'm talking about some like X-Men gene, like some like off-branch Walmart version of a Titan based off of, the events.
This
that
is
would
the
transpire.
weirdest multiple choice quiz
I don't
I've
know.
ever taken. I am leaning, I think, toward their... Dude, okay, never mind. I was gonna say there was nothing there, but now I'm like, would the baby also... Would the mother explode because another Titan grew within it? Like,
that'd be if you injected the baby inside of her, I
But
think.
the baby feeds from the mother.
her.
They're connected. Like,
then maybe option D. You get 2 Titans for 1. You get a twofer.
but not if the mother explodes from the inside. I mean, it depends on the healing that can
Or
happen
what
there.
stage of birth you're in when you're injected and turned into a Titan.
I know, like, obviously it's so weird, and these questions
I don't think it's weird at all.
They were meant to come up because of the fact that it was already talked about basically in this episode that it's weird, or they don't know what to think about it. How do we handle this? Why did she get pregnant?
Why do you think she did?
At this moment, I don't really have an idea of why she would have done it, because it doesn't feel in her character to have done it in spite. I don't know. I couldn't see her getting pregnant in spite. Like, unless she does love this man. I don't know. Does she love this guy that she went after? Or did she just think, this is a guy who had a crush on me, so I'm gonna pick him? Or he knew me as a kid, and so that means we'll be more connected because he knew where I came from.
It seemed like Historia was just trying to do what was required of her and not think too much about it.
And if she was doing what was required of her, she was doing what was required of her 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Which was to have a bunch of babies.
Like it's very easy to say, oh, you're given a shitty job, we'll make the most out of it. Oh, you have to have kids, we'll just find true love anyways. Nobody's telling you not to. Man, being told, what if you didn't want to have kids in the first place? Like, it's very easy to say, like, think about it from a positive, like, point of view or whatever, but damn, I wouldn't blame Historia if she just was like, fuck, this is my life, and was kind of depressed about it, if that's how she actually is.
Or think about how messed up it was that guy called her loose for this.
Gross,
like, she had to just go and get pregnant. Like, I'm like, what? Like, and then luckily we had Niall Doc at that meeting, so he was like,
I love
dude,
Niall Doc,
you're...
bro.
But then we got the waiter going downstairs and seeing someone that we think is a good guy, being like, is
Nicola.
this the right wine? And I'm like, ooh.
Which I'm assuming is poison, but I don't know. Could be wrong. Nicola.
Maybe it's like just sleepy juice. Well, technically wine is sleepy juice, so it's just really strong. It's really strong juice. Wine, like alcohol percentage is high.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna get these people fucked up.
Yeah, so maybe he just really wants to get them drunk.
Yeah, maybe. Do you want to read the mid-roll?
Yes. Hizaru, a small eastern nation with its own culture, producing many talented engineers, it flourished in weapon and aircraft development and was once an ally of the Eldian Empire.
I think knowing that it flourished in weapon and aircraft development is probably great information to have going forward if they are offering the island of Paradis anything.
Especially if you're thinking about the past, and if this is where the Ackermans came from, and this was a nation that excelled in weaponry, and we were told that the Ackermans were the sword and shield of the king. That could be literal. They supplied the sword and shield. They supply the weapon.
Yep.
I always thought it was like they were the protectors, like physically with their bodies. They could be, but this gives me another definition.
Me as well. The whole like scene we had in the back of the carriage with everybody in the
yes,
in like the flashback,
which was awesome. It
was so great. For half a second, again, not believing it, just trying to think about like whatever comes to mind, just trying to voice out loud. For like half a second there, once Sasha started talking about being the person to inherit the Titan, like entire scene, I'm like, these are just fucking good friends, bro, and it's just showing like that anybody would do this, would be honored or do anything for Eren. But part of me for half a second was like, I wonder if the desire of being or inheriting a Titan corrupts Eldians in some way. Like I don't believe that that's the case, but I thought like for a second.
Well, power can be corrupt, just as corrupting as money is, right?
Yeah. So, but obviously, if like these people wouldn't be.
I mean, the longer you stay with the Titan.
Easy.
What?
I said these people wouldn't be corrupted by something that easy, like Jean and Sasha and Connie, like.
But we could say that the longer you have this power within you, the crazier you might get.
Yeah.
And I think that we maybe have seen some examples. I think most of the people I've seen that have had a Titan power for a longer period of time seem slightly unhinged to some degree. Spontaneous, really, what's the word? They're really dedicated, like really hyper focused and like willing to do anything. And that's not necessarily a bad trait, but it's almost like they're willing, they get to a point where they're willing to cast off all else. All morals, all the people around them for this goal that they're holding on to or this thing they want to achieve. And they almost are driven crazy by hyper focusing on this goal. Yeah. It makes you think that, like, what if when you go to sleep, you can't sleep because you're hearing all of these memories and voices in your head? Like, can you even sleep a peaceful night?
I don't know. I brought up the disassociation point with Eren. Like, what if, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, what if not only you're like, let's think about another show that we're watching that I'm not going to be specific about. Like, what if every other person who's had the Titan is alive right now in your head? Like, what if there's like all arguing with each other about what to do? What if you're just even seeing the will? Like, I don't know. Like, it's a terrifying, like, I would go crazy.
And you might be thinking things and feeling things that aren't even your feelings and thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think that we have evidence to support that is 100% possible. That you could be thinking things that someone else is thinking and saying. Kruger said about Mikasa and Armin and wanting to protect them. Kruger doesn't want to protect Mikasa and Armin.
Yeah.
Someone else does. It's Eren might not even know who he is or which thoughts are his anymore, because it's almost maybe that's why it was so easy for Reiner for what happened to him mentally to escalate, to be even more broken, is because he also had, I don't know if he was mentally ready for kind of having other people's thoughts and feelings put within his own brain and body. And I feel like that's a lot. If he ever did.
Because we never saw him dealing with that.
But I think if you've had it for this many years, it's safe to say you might have some.
Maybe.
Some little inklings. I mean, Armin said that he's seen Bertholdt's memories.
No.
Yeah, he said, yes, but I don't think any of it would help us.
Really?
When he was talking
when did he say that? Eren?
It was like last episode. And Eren was like, have you seen Bertholdt's memories yet? And I'm pretty sure Armin said, yeah, but none of it would help us. And I was like, but Bertholdt has a more modern idea of the warriors and Marley than Grisha would have.
You're right. That's awesome, because that gives, like, I was worried that theorizing that some of these other characters might have seen other people's memories was completely, like, off base, but there is something to go off of significantly now. Like, that's a great point, an acknowledgement that we don't know what Armin's thinking.
Right. It was very weird energy when he was like, oh, yeah, I've seen them, but he looks away and he looks down like none of it would be helpful to us. And I'm like, you could have said that in a nonchalant, like, honest manner with no suspicion for the viewer. Yeah. But the body language and the phrasing, like, almost like Armin's like, oh, shit, he asked about this. Like, huh? Oh, yeah. You know, like he wasn't ready to answer that question, was surprised to be asked it. There's something he's keeping. I feel like Armin's probably not, like, the best, like, secret keeper. So I definitely got, like, a weird vibe from that. But I don't know. I feel like Aaron's state of mind is probably crazier than we might even be imagining it
What,
is.
Aaron's state of mind currently?
Yeah, currently. This Aaron that snapped at Hanji and made Hanji say that she shouldn't have been the commander.
Well, so it's interesting because the conversation that Aaron and Armin had was prior to what we got in this episode. I'm trying to like make timelines and everything work, but regardless, there's the end of this episode I really wanted to touch on before we go, because like I just wanted to read through the last few lines of it, if that's okay. That leads to Aaron's eye transitioning to the moon. Because my initial instance was that Aaron could hear this conversation. That was like my instinct.
Oh, that's crazy.
But
not like, I don't mean crazy like bad or like you're crazy for saying that. I'd be like, that would be,
it doesn't
like,
make sense
awesome
to me, but just like I want to rewatch it again.
Somewhat makes sense if we're speculating that he's connected to so many different people.
And he
what
could technically be connected to the Colossal Titan.
And
everything
and the Colossal Titan was in this room. We also have in this episode the discussion of who's going to inherit Aaron's Titan. Yeah. What if one of those people is in this room?
I don't know. But Connie says, you know everything about him, right? Which Armin replies, we'll talk to Aaron. Just me, Mikasa, and him. We'll find out his goal. But will it help? What if his goals are the same as Zeke's? Then Armin says, now that the military has Titan serum, we've got options, which is the first confirmation verbally we have ever heard from Armin that could deviate from a path from Aaron, right? Mm-hmm.
There's a way that he says this too, that the energy behind it is just very, it's like Armin's in a whole nother world.
Yeah.
In his thoughts. And maybe that would give credence to an idea that Armin, maybe as the strategist we know him to be, the one to come up with plans, what would his plan be? I don't think it would just be show all of them that we're like so broad, like show all of them that we're nothing to fear and we're really nice people. Like, no, that wouldn't be his legit plan. Like, that might be the goal of the legit plan.
Yeah, I don't know what a legit plan is going to look like, because
what's even possible?
Aaron said it himself. What the fuck are you going to do, bro? Like,
exactly. But Armin is the Colossal Titan.
I would like to think that if Armin was right on top of Aaron, like the next floor up and turned, Aaron would be dead. But who knows, you know? But to go on, you don't mean, I'm just going to go back 10 seconds so we can see the transition and how quick it happens. So once Armin again reinstates, now that the military has Titan serum, we've got options. Mikasa, you don't mean instantly to Aaron's room. The option of making someone we trust into a Titan while Armin's still talking, who would inherit Aaron's founding Titan. Close up on Aaron. Aaron looks fucking annoyed, and then it goes into the moon. Like, that's wild when we've seen so many different references to the sun and sunsets and moons this episode.
Tired, annoyed, and angry.
And not only is it like, correct me if I'm wrong, we could totally have like left off that scene. That could have ended the episode. But it's Aaron it's close up on Aaron's eye, which transitions into the moon, which is shining down on Zeke.
Mm-hmm. This leads me to a question. And this might be my last thing that I want to talk about.
What's up?
We get Aaron with that angry face there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
When he threatened Hanji at the beginning of the episode that he could just break out of there. Why doesn't he? Is he still hoping that they end up trusting him again? Is he trying to not be disrespectful? Question. Does he actually think... when he says to Hanji, what are you going to do about it? You can't kill me. Then why isn't he breaking out? If he's not worried about self-preservation and he doesn't need their trust anymore...
Remember what I said earlier in the discussion when I said it seemed like Aaron was trying to convince Hanji to give up? Like...
Which would maybe be that fight is convincing yourself of something.
Yeah.
Which I feel like could be a reoccurring theme we got with some of the dialogue in this episode. Like Mikasa trying to convince herself of something and all of the friends there trying to convince themselves that Aaron loves us. Like...
It could be, like we touched on, Aaron was never the type of person to put his friends in harm's way. He was willing to do whatever it took to make sure that didn't happen. Obviously, beginning of season 4, when they came into Marley, that wasn't the case. And he could be sitting in the basement right now, not in the basement, in the jail, which is I think it's
Dungeon.
in the basement.
It's a basement.
He could be thinking and knowing that he still needs to use the scouts and the people of Paradis right now for some reason or another.
Or is it that whole idea of someone being kind of the villain for now, like you'll thank me later,
maybe
sort of situation? Like he's working behind the scenes to something that no one else can understand except him.
Why? What puts you in the mental state that you are so sure that these people, not only that like you've trusted for the past couple of years, but even to go as far as basically your siblings, no matter how you put it into words, is not at all going to be understandable from anybody other than you and Zeke? In my mind, the only way is something that connects them, whether that be the royal blood, the founding titan, or Grisha. Which brings me to my last and final point. Do you think Zeke is reading one of Grisha's books right here at the ending scene? And maybe Grisha either wrote an apology to Zeke.
It's like a diary.
Maybe he wrote acknowledgments or mistakes and acknowledging his mistakes, or a plan.
So I don't know how much of you asking that is like a joke, or if you're really genuinely asking.
No, I'm asking. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that'd be really cool, and I like that idea, but my only issue is why would Levi give it to him?
Yeah, I know.
But Levi's watching him like a hawk here. Like maybe Levi wants him to read it to give some answers. Maybe there would be a reason. How did Zeke get a book if Levi didn't give it to him?
I don't know. Maybe maybe Levi's like, I just don't want to hear your fucking voice anymore, bro.
I just don't want to have to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm tired of you calling my favorite drinks in the world piss drinks, or whatever the term he used last episode was. That was great. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying this so far.
Just so far?
Yeah. I don't know what to say. Good episode.
Well, we've talked a lot now, and now I think we don't know what to say.
I think I know what to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.